What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Freedom Malts. Germ here. Today, we're looking at another 10-year-old American Single Malt. Age-stated 10-year-old American Single Malt. I didn't know that there was another 10-year-old American Single Malt out there, Stranahan's being the only one that I knew about. I had to look and do a little digging on this one, but Finger Lakes Distilling out of New York has been making and releasing a 10-year-old age-stated American Single Malt since 2019. They got their start in 2007, actually opened the distillery and the tasting room back in 2009. They do not actually have another single malt that they put out, anything with a non-age statement or a younger age statement even. All they put out is a 10-year-old. Wow, that was really easy. All they put out is a 10-year-old American single malt. They do some other whiskeys, couple different bourbons, bottled and bond, small batch, and a regular bourbon. They also do some rye. They do plenty of other spirits as well, brandies, grappas, all kinds of stuff. Pretty cool little distillery. They are putting this in used barrels, I believe. The guy that I talked to there, he does believe that this is aged in used oak. They do use 53-gallon Calvin Cooperage barrels. And judging by the color on this one for 10 years, I'm going to go ahead and agree that this is probably used barrels. A couple things about the bottle real quick. It's bottled pretty low, 43%. Is that a negative or not? I don't know. A lot of the other American single malts out there are bottling quite a bit higher than that. And I'm going to compare this one to Stranahan's a lot because really that's the only other comparable on the market. The only other 10-year age-stated American single malt out there. And that one is bottled at, I don't remember, I think 45, maybe 47. However, they are doing something unique here with this. They are putting it in the barrel at 100 proof. Now, I did specifically ask about that, and the master distiller has this theory that if the spirit goes into the barrel closer to the bottling ABV, it makes for a better spirit. And I can tell you just from pouring this and letting it sit here, I can actually smell this far. I haven't even stuck my nose in this glass yet, and I can smell maltiness, and it's fabulous. It really is. So without any more messing around, let's get into this one. Ooh, yeah. I will say this. I was slightly turned off by this one at first. I looked at it when I got the notification that it was available. And I looked at it, saw the price tag on it, saw the proof point on it. And then obviously I compared it right away to the Stranahan's. And I'm going to tell you, just by this nose, I'm pretty happy I picked it up. Just a wonderfully fruity, vibrant malt on this. There's nothing that doesn't say I'm a wonderful malt whiskey. I mean, if you are a fan of malt whiskey, the nose on this will be right up your alley. There's no doubt about that. A little bit of citrus. We got some fresh orchard fruit. Regular, the vanillas, the honeys, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of typical of just about every barrel-aged whiskey. And this being 10 years old, I think we're going to have to let this one sit for a little bit before we actually get into it, see what happens here. But I'm going to give it a sip first before I do any of that, and we're going to see how that goes. Lots of things I like about it right off the bat. Mouthfeel for one, number one mouthfeel. It's oily, it's viscous, it's really nice. It's a weird oily and viscous. It's almost thin, but then it's got this clinging after effect. It's got a hay note right off the bat. That was the first note that came into my head when I took that sip. It didn't happen right away. It took a second or two, but that was the first thing my head said was dried hay. The fruit notes on the nose definitely do not show up on the palate yet. I can almost assure you that the palate will catch up to the nose here shortly. And yeah, we're gonna let this one chill out just for a few minutes and see what happens. Don't go nowhere. So we're back. Give this guy a couple minutes to open up. Let's see see if anything changed now. Oh, for sure. Now we're getting almost like a fermented fruit, almost like the base of a brandy. Some honey on top of that, and yeah, pretty nice nose on this thing. The nice thing about this is there is no ethanol bite at all on it. Makes for a super easy drinking whiskey. And I gotta say, the nose on this is reminding me, and drinking it beforehand was reminding me of something in it. I'm trying to place it, but it's almost like I think it's reminding me of Legic 10. Maybe not quite as peated. They are peating this a little bit. Most of the barley for this is sourced from a farm in New York, maybe a couple farms in New York, but for the most part, one farm. And then they do bring in some Scottish peated barley also. Peated malt, I guess it would be. And I'm not picking up any smoke. There's no smoke to be had on it, but that peat is got a backbone in there. Yeah, man. I mean, I wish the price wasn't quite so high, but still, I'm pretty happy with the purchase on this. Just by the nose alone, I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful American Single Malt nose. Zero smokiness, no campfire, no ashy, none of that. But just that underlying backbone flavor of what peat does to whiskey, it's fantastic. The fruit is all there. The orchard fruits, the little bit of citrus. We're getting a little bit of the vanilla is light. If there's any at all, it's light, but the honey is pretty strong. We got that little bit of that almost fermented fruit tinginess to it, that little sour nip. Yeah, man. Um, I'm completely happy with this. And yes, that totally reminds me of Legic 10. Maybe a little less peated than Legic, but maybe like a cross between like a Glengoyne and a Legic 10. Like if you were to blend the two together. I'm gonna have to try that someday. That sounds like it might be interesting. But that mouthfeel of Glengoyne is here. It's really nice and creamy. It feels almost thin when you swallow it or when you drink it, but it's like creamy and coating right after that, and it's fantastic. The finish on it maybe a little short, and I'm just going to go and say that's probably because it's at the 43%. There's nothing that's going to make it hang on for a really long time. Finger Lakes Distilling, Mackenzie Bourbon, Mackenzie Bottled and Bond Bourbon, Mackenzie Small Batch Bourbon, Mackenzie Rye. You see in any Mackenzie stuff, I know Sealbox does sell it quite a bit for them. Their distribution is pretty small. And actually, if you do go onto their website, they have a distribution map of where you can buy it in stores. But anyways, I thank you guys. And until the next one, cheers to this American spirit.